Hey guys, welcome back to Heiko's Garage.
Yeah.
So as you can see, I'm again with my Airhead here. This is an R90/6 from 1974. And I have been riding this thing for now 4 or 5 years maybe. And I've slowly been improving up on this bike. There are the real vintage fans that want everything original. And of course they can do that on their bikes. But of course, then there are the other guys like you and I who like to tinker with the gear we have, the bikes we have, the cars we have. And we like to improve things, not just for creature comforts, but also for reliability. For example, this bike here originally came out with a points and condenser ignition, and nowadays there are so many different options in terms of electronic ignition that you set and forget. There are no wear items, there are no points that are going to burn out, there is no condenser that's going to go bad, there's no readjusting of the timing of your ignition. And so there are ways of making those bikes more long-term reliable, especially if you want to be out on the road. And one of those items that has always been in the back of my head and it's always been bugging me is the mediocre lighting that comes out of the headlight of one of those Airheads here, 1974. They already had halogen light bulbs, so that was a big improvement. Before they literally had incandescent light bulbs in the 60s and 50s, and that must have been terrible and horrific to ride at night. This one here already has an H4 dual filament halogen light bulb, and it is okay. You know how it goes, you're out on a ride and you're enjoying the ride and you think, oh, let's make this left turn here and take another little detour before we get back home, and before you know it, sun sets and you have to rely on your headlight and you can barely see anything. And every time you make a turn, you know, turning left or turning right, you're always turning into a dark corner. And so I was looking into improving the lighting situation, specifically the headlight. My taillight is already an LED light bulb, my brake light is LED, my blinkers are all LED, and they are all putting out pretty decent light. So being seen on the road and being seen when you're turning, that's not an issue, but actually the headlight is the one that helps you see where you're going. So first I started out buying fancier H4 headlight bulbs. This here is a Sylvania Silverstar Ultra, which is the most expensive H4 headlight bulb that the auto parts store sells. And they only have a life expectancy of about 145 hours. That's not long. It puts out a little bit more light. It has the same wattage, so it's still a 55 watt on low beam and 60 watt on high beam bulb. So that hasn't changed from the standard. But the color of the light is a little different. So this one here, most down road, most clarity, and best color for ultra night vision. So I can say that that's improved it a little bit over just a standard run-of-the-mill $10 H4 halogen light bulb, but that was definitely not the solution. Then I started looking into H4 light bulbs, and you guys all know there are literally a metric ton of choices when it comes to H4 light bulbs. I will put a few different pictures here on the screen. These ones here, they are called drop-in replacement. They do high and low beam. They fit into the normal, you know, I have this all ready to go for you guys here. So this is a normal headlight assembly that belongs into this bike here. And it at the back has the big reflector. And there lives the normal halogen light bulb. And those drop-in replacements, in most cases, not every single one, but in most cases, if you know how to put it in, they will fit in there. You don't have to modify anything. They don't have any massive heat sinks or fans or extra little electronic boxes sticking out. But pretty much most of those, I can't speak for all of them because I can't look at 2,000 different light bulbs that are available out there. But most of those are either not street legal, so not DOT approved, or the Chinese manufacturer just stamps it on the box anyways, and they say it's DOT approved, but that might be a false statement. The ones that usually are DOT approved are the more brand name things like Sylvania makes some LED light bulbs, Philips makes LED light bulbs, Osram makes some light bulbs that are LED. But in most cases, those LED light bulbs that would fit in here don't fit into the headlight bucket. As you guys know, on our Airheads here, all the electrical connections pretty much for everything is made here in the headlight bucket. So right behind where this headlight ends is where your entire bike's electronics are. And you can see the light bulb sticks out a little bit here at the end, but not too bad. But most of the halogen light bulbs, not correction, the LED light bulbs that are DOT approved are actually the ones that have a heat sink here, not inside the light fixture, but at the end, and then usually have a wire come out. They have a separate plug, so they have way more material sticking out back here. Oftentimes they're actively cooled, so there is a fan in there. They sometimes even have a little electronic box that you have to hide somewhere. So the actual DOT approved ones that I've seen, there is Cyclops is one of the brands. Philips makes a really good H4 LED light bulb, but they all have a fan, wiring, a little box, and all that kind of stuff, and it will not fit into this headlight bucket. That is just a fact. And so I was a little, discouraged with this whole situation that I couldn't find any good LED light bulb. So I tried this one here. I don't even know what brand this is. I followed a YouTube video and bought that. So there are some drop-in replacement that are usually not very good. So this one here, the spread of the light and the pattern, the output pattern of the headlight was completely messed up, and it was not good. Maybe during the day, if you're really only day riding and you want this really bright white coming out of your headlight for better be seen on the road by other drivers, maybe that helps. But as soon as the sun goes down, those LED light bulbs just suck. There are a couple really high-priced options that you could go for. The only two currently available ones that I have found that will fit straight into this chrome ring here and can be mounted on your headlight bucket are from Motomedic and from motorradelectric.com. I will leave links to both of them down below. They both are very futuristic in their look, so they definitely do not retain the vintage look. On the 7-inch headlight side of the house, there are literally also a metric ton of different versions. Lots of stuff from China, AliExpress, Amazon is all full of them. Most of them are not DOT approved, and the ones that are DOT approved, they are of course not super cheap. So there's KC, there's Holley makes some headlights now. Instead of just making carburetors and fuel injection, they make headlights, all 7-inch, all LED, and they even have some that have a glass that mimics the kind of the vintage look of this here. So you have a proper diffuser lens in front of the LED bulb, and in testing I've seen online that they actually have a proper output pattern and they have proper high and low beam and a decent light improvement over a normal halogen H4 light bulb. But unfortunately, 7-inch doesn't fit into this headlight, or does it? So now we're getting to the point where I actually talk about what you have here in front of you. So as I mentioned, BMW used this lens and the reflector, and it's about 7.5 inches in diameter, which then gets mounted in a stainless steel ring. I want to say this is, I believe this is stainless steel, or maybe it's not. It just gets mounted in here with like a little spring. Yeah, I'll take one out for you guys. It's just those tiny little wires. It's kind of a spring tension that pushes the glass and the reflector that contains the light bulb into this chrome ring. And then this chrome ring hooks onto the headlight bucket, and at the bottom is a kind of contraption here, a little contraption with a Phillips head screw. And yeah, as I mentioned, 7-inch doesn't fit. So I thought maybe I can buy a 7-inch headlight, and since I have a 3D printer, and I always wanted to learn how to 3D model, so I ended up 3D modeling an adapter ring that goes around the 7-inch headlight, clamps properly into this chrome ring. I was able to retain those those tension wires or whatever you want to call them, the headlight clips here. So I'm using the same clips as in the original headlight. And it holds this headlight in there perfectly. The material used is TPU, which is a kind of a rubberized plastic, so it's kind of soft. It squeezes in there a little bit. It seals the whole thing off pretty decent. And this one here is a 7-inch headlight made by Philips. This one is properly SAE DOT approved for road use, high and low beam. And since I am already doing something with an adapter ring, I think it would have been silly if I would have tried to use a headlight that has the vintage look to it, because I'm already kind of destroying the original look with this headlight anyways, because I have a black ring around it. But I think after the fact, I am actually really happy what that looks like. There's no permanent modification. I didn't have to chop any wires off. I didn't have to do anything to the actual headlight bucket or the chrome ring. I had to modify absolutely nothing. The only modification is my TPU insert ring and the 7-inch headlight. And I haven't tried other brands of 7-inch headlights, but they are all built to kind of the same specification to be able to fit into those, you know, the Camaros and the Mustangs and the vintage cars that might have had some round headlights, the VW buses of this world, and you know, the school buses that have round headlights. They're all built to a certain specification. So I would assume if I would buy any other brand of LED headlight, it would fit into my ring here, maybe with some slight modification. The cool thing with 3D modeling is if it doesn't fit, you can change it easily and then reprint it with your 3D printer. So I made this ring, of course, specifically to this Philips headlight because I was able to buy that off of Amazon, $100. I think usually it costs $120 or so. I'll turn it on here real quick just to give you an idea. I want to do something else tonight. So as you can see, low beam up here, high beam down there, and they actually stay on both. On a H4 light bulb, halogen, you only have one filament or the other. It doesn't do both. So it switches from low beam, switches to high beam, but you don't have both. On this LED light here, you have both on at the same time, which that's probably the way how they increase the light output. The light bulb here is rated for 14 watts. That's the specification I could find on the Philips webpage. It doesn't say if this is 14 watts combined or 14 watts each individual, you know, stage. So low beam 14 watts and then high beam 14 watts. But compared to a 55/60 watt halogen light bulb, this is a huge savings when it comes to electrical consumption. As we all know, the 1970s and 80s, the alternators in those bikes, they were not the most powerful. And if you want to run any kind of accessories, the electricity has to come from somewhere. So let's say you want to run some heated gear. Maybe you just want to install some heated grips on this bike. Or I have a little Android Auto screen that I use for navigation purposes here on this handlebar. That all needs some electricity. And so if you convert all your light bulbs from 55 to 14 watts, that is a huge savings. That's huge savings on your electricity account. And then in some cases, you might not even need to do an alternator upgrade. There are alternator upgrades, and look out for a future video. I am going to upgrade this from a 280 watt BMW Bosch style alternator to a 400 watt alternator, which is sold by EME Euromotor Electrics, which is still the old Bosch style with brushes and the normal regular diode board and voltage regulator, but they have increased the efficiency and they can put out 400 watts instead of 280 watts. And so then from that point forward, I will have enough electrical capacity left to add some heated grips and maybe have a plug-in for a heated vest or something like that. I really enjoy this bike. It's not the most powerful thing in the world. It's a 900cc bike with 67 horsepower, but I still want to keep riding and go on tours. I just finished a Death Valley Rendezvous 3-day camping trip down in Death Valley on this bike. It performed flawlessly. My electronic ignition that I have installed in here, there's a video on my channel about this. Yeah, that doesn't miss a beat. But lighting is terrible. Headlight was terrible. That's why I did this. So let me pause real quick. I'm gonna uninstall this. I will show you what this looks like installed in this headlight ring here. And then tonight when it's dark, I'm gonna get all those different light options out and we're just gonna compare them here against the backdrop of a garage door. I also bought a lux meter just for this very video, and we're gonna measure, at least attempt to measure the light output differences between original LED, halogen light bulb, then the upgraded halogen light bulb, and the LED light bulb I have here versus this. Yeah, so we're gonna try to film this tonight and get some measurements out of it and help you guys make a decision. And if you're interested in adapters for those headlights, of course I cannot say that this adapter that I made will fit every single 7-inch headlight out on the market, which there are 1,000 of those. But yeah, this seems to be a pretty good option, and I kind of like the look of it too. So let me take it off and give you a closer look at this. So I decided to just take you along for the road here. Like I said, no modification to the actual mounting. So there's a Phillips head screw down here that you just need to take loose. No worries, you cannot completely take this Phillips head screw out. It's made so that it's captive in there. So you can spin this quite a bit until it's loose. Then you need a relatively small size flathead screwdriver. And there is, right behind where that Phillips head is a little slot. And you shove your flathead in here kind of at an angle. And then you need to hold onto your light and just kind of do a levering motion. That levering motion will push up against that little flat surface here and push it out of the way, kind of like this. And that's how you get the light out. So as you can see, there's now only one connection. This headlight here that I bought does not have a parking light. On this bike, we have a tiny little light bulb at the bottom. Some people call it a running light, but it is not a running light. It's on in your ignition key's first position, which is parking light. And then as soon as you go to ignition on, you will actually have the headlight on. So this light doesn't have that. It doesn't have a parking light bulb anymore. So I actually removed one wire here from my connector board. And then the normal H4 connector here there's a little extension. As we already can see, quick little comparison here. The LED version is not as tall as the original reflector. So there's already a little bit more space here in this headlight bucket. There isn't really that risk that the rear end of your LED light bulb kind of pokes something in there or gets too close to something. And yeah, so here it is. As you can see, this is my 3D printed adapter ring. I made it so that you can use the little metal clips in there. I made a cutout for this locking mechanism here that holds it in the headlight bucket. And yeah, I think personally, I don't want to toot my own horn here, but overall this has turned out really, really well. Here is version 1. This was my first prototype. This was my first prototype, which I actually modified with a knife, made this cutout here, but I have now modified this a little bit. This actually didn't fit, so I didn't measure accurately enough, but then after remeasuring, I was able to change my 3D model to a size where it actually works. And so yeah, this prototype here then led me to making a few more modifications to this adapter ring here, and this fits right in here. It fits over a lip on the headlight, pretty much just like the original here. This lip exists on this LED. It's a little wider, and it fits right over there. It then gets squished and clamped down by those clips. And like I said, this is a flexible material that I printed in. This is a TPU 95A. So it is a little bit rubbery in a way, which then helps to have this whole ring being squished into the chrome ring here. And it holds on really, really well. It was really relatively easy to align this all because you want it perfectly, centered. And yeah, this is what this looks like. Like I said, tonight we're going to do a light output test. This one versus all the original and the aftermarket drop-in LED light bulbs. And I hope we will find out that this is really a good option. If you guys like it, please get in touch and I can help you out with adapter ring here. Alrighty, Hey guys, I thought besides doing some light comparison between the OEM light, maybe an upgraded H4 halogen light bulb, and this one here, I should probably show you how easily this installs in the original fashion, how BMW designed it to be mounted. So let's do this real quick. So I actually printed a new improved version of this last night, so I'm still fiddling with this. I will add a couple more chamfers here and there so to have the edges nicely rounded over. But yeah, this is TPU, so flexible plastic printed on a normal conventional 3D printer. So how to take this headlight apart isn't any different from if you would have to take it apart because you need to change the reflector or the glass because it's broken or whatever. So let's do that real quick. I'm gonna speed this up for you guys. So this comes out, and there are 8 of those. Yep. So there we already have the clips out. Here you can see this bracket that holds your chrome ring in your headlight bucket. So this is pretty much stock. Here is now the LED headlight with that ring on it. And we're gonna take it off. Cool thing is that if you ever break this adapter ring here, you can totally reprint it. It's pretty tight. I made it so that it is tight, so that nothing wiggles or rocks or flutters. So once it's installed, it is solid with your headlight. Got to make sure you guys can see it. So here's the old ring. My improved version. So this one was prototype made with Tinkercad, and you can see it's not really a round part. It's more like a multi-edge. So this is pretty cheaply made Tinkercad and then printed out. And I changed a little bit of the infill. So this is 15% infill, and here now I have, if I'm not mistaken, 25% infill. Also the surface pattern here, this is the side down to your print bed, is now concentric circles. Might make it look a little nicer. And yeah, this is 25% infill. Dimensions should be the same. I remodeled this with FreeCAD. So this is a proper CAD 3D modeled part, not Tinkercad anymore. Took a little bit of effort for me to learn how to do any kind of 3D modeling, but I think it turned out all right. I will probably modify this a little more and increase the size of the chamfer here a little bit. I put a little one on here, but it could just be rounded over because this part here, this surface, really has no technical function. It would just be nice if it's more rounded over. This edge here is actually where the clips sit on, kind of like that. So that's kind of important, but here I would also like a little bit more of a chamfer so it kind of glides into the chrome ring a little better. All right, you want this at the very bottom of your headlight. And so this is the very bottom, and yeah, we got to make sure that we're lining it up with that somehow. So here, this little plastic clip is the very bottom of this Philips headlight. And then, yeah, I guess if I put more infill in it and more walls and make it more solid, it gets harder and harder to squish this over, but I think we're still going to be all right. It's still a flexible material. And this is still, you know, test phase. I can always reprint this, make it stronger or weaker or more flexible. I can even use TPU that is maybe a little softer than this. Like I said, this is 95A. Okay, my friend here. Oh, here we go. All right, so little fiddly. Now you can see we don't have it exactly in the middle. So I'm just holding onto the light bulb and turning it until this clip is right in the center. And this cutout goes over this metal bracket here. Let's see if that fits. I might make this cutout a little wider so it gives you a little bit more room. So now we need to slide that all together like this and make sure we have the clip here straight. So it's going to be a little fiddly to line this all up. I just put one clip here in the middle on one side and then a clip on the other side in the middle. One, and then the other one right across. Doesn't really make any major difference where you have them, as long as you have 8 clips in there. Like that. So now you can massage this in place a little bit. So you see this is a little out of whack here. So I'm just grabbing it and which direction do we need to turn it? Oh, we're actually pretty good. Maybe a little more this way. So with 2 clips only, you still have enough give in here so you can massage it around. You also want to look from the outside that you have this rubberized ring really in the center of the chrome here. And if you don't like it, you just get it out real quick, shove it over. Yep, drop my screwdriver. Massagey. It's a little tinkery. It's a little fiddly to get it just straight centered. But for you guys DIYers that want to improve lighting on your Airhead, I think this is not a tall order, not a big ask. So I think I like it. And now I'm just going to start putting the other clips in. Here at the very top, you have this little cutout there. You need to leave about this much space without clip because that's where it hooks onto your headlight bucket and you don't want to get the clip in the way. So it just goes in here. Like that. And then the next one here. It doesn't matter if they overlap. That's fine. You can always move them independently. So let's say you don't like that, you just take it loose again, you slide it over a little more. Like that, and then maybe we want to move the one that we originally had put in here a little over to straighten it out and have the clamping force evenly distributed. Really, really easy. No problem here at all. So now we have 4 on this side. You see here's the clip, here's the top. 4 relatively evenly. So now we're going to put maybe a smaller screwdriver. This seems to be working pretty well. As you can see, there's a little wear on my clips. I've taken them in and out a few times now because I had a couple printed versions. Need to make sure they fit. Then I didn't make the cutout for the mounting bracket down here large enough, so then I had to cut that out with a pocket knife and so on and so on. So I think that's it. There are 4 on each side. Let's turn it around. So you can always massage this still a little bit. This ring is flexible, so to speak, and squish it and push it. And I will add a little chamfer on the outside to make it easier to slide in there. But that's pretty much it. And now we just need to put it back in the bike. Let's do that. The nut here of this Phillips head screw is captive, so you cannot take it off really. It's stuck on there, so it will not fall off even if you try to. So then, without dropping your brand new headlight on the floor, just plug it in, figure out where is the top. Phillips is the word here, the top. Make sure you kind of line it up by eyeballing it so it's This is horizontal or this is vertical here between this little nubbin and the word Philips. And then I always grab, here at the bottom is a big wiring harness going in. I grab that with my index finger and then my thumb, and I push on the chrome ring itself, not on the headlight, until it's all the way on the headlight bucket. And then I just make sure, keep a hand on it. Maybe it wants to pop back out and then it falls, and and then you need a new headlight. Just keep a hand on it. Have a Phillips head screwdriver nearby. And don't want to go off on a tangent, but I'm showing this screwdriver here by Vessel. This is a Japanese brand. And this tip here is actually not really a Phillips head screwdriver. This is kind of their own proprietary design, which is made to work with JIS, Japanese Industrial Standard crosshead screws that look like Phillips, but the tip is different. And this is made so that it is really universally usable. So there is a European standard for Phillips, there is the old-fashioned American Phillips standard, and there is a Japanese industrial standard. And this screwdriver works in everything. And it is really a Phillips head screwdriver that does not come out of the Phillips head. So having a Phillips head screw down here in the headlight bucket, you want a screwdriver that doesn't slip out and kind of boogers out this screw. Here, this other headlight that I have from another bike, this is so augured out, it's so ugly. I wonder if there's a way that I can maybe replace this, because someone must have used either the wrong size of Phillips head screwdriver. If they would have had one of these here, made by Vessel, this would have never happened. I'll put a link down below if you guys are interested in checking those out. They're really inexpensive, made in Japan, pretty good quality. Here's a little knurling, so you can use it with your thumb and index finger. They also have a version where you have a shank that goes through so that you can hit with a hammer, and it actually has an impact driver mechanism in the handle. So if you have really stubborn Phillips head screws, you stick it in, you strike it with a hammer, and it takes the screw loose. This is Vessel, no channel sponsor or anything, but I bought a set of those. This is the Phillips Head 2 size, and then I have a 1 size, and I also have a PH3 size. And these are really my go-to screwdrivers now, and I have a drawer full of Phillips head screwdrivers. These are the only ones, they look already worn because I use them so much, but they never came out of a Phillips head screw. So get yourself one of those. So anyways, we got it back installed here, nice and snug. Doesn't come out. Let's do a function check here real quick. Where's my key? Here is the key. And it works, and let's check if the high beam still works. Yep, looks good. All right, now we just need to wait for a calm night with no wind, and then we're gonna do some testing. So here is our test setup. Here on my garage door, I have a Unity UT383 Bluetooth, which is a lux meter, which measures light output. Then we have the choices of headlights here. This is the OEM headlight. And we have a standard H4 halogen light bulb, a fancy Silverstar Ultra, I think it is, Silverstar Ultra, and a LED drop-in replacement. And then, of course, the Philips H4 LED headlight, which this entire video is about. We're going to start with the OEM headlight, and I'm going to drop in the first standard H4 light bulb. We're going to see the pattern. We're going to see the lux meter reading, which actually shows up on my phone. It's a Bluetooth device. And then we're going to switch to this. Then we're going to switch to this. And then we're going to finish off with this. So your view is going to be pretty much down towards the driveway, towards my garage door. Overhead lights, of course, are going to be off, and we're also going to go onto the street and just show you what the normal pattern in low beam and high beam looks like when you're actually on a street. All right, I would say let's do it. Setup is ready. It's complete darkness out here. My lux meter reading says 0, and we have camera set at fixed settings. So I have an ISO of 2000, a aperture of 2.8. We're shooting with a 1/60th of a second shutter speed for 30 frames a second. And I also have a set white balance, so this is not going to be changed at all. And now I'm going to turn my bike on here in the dark without tripping. And let's see where that headlight is aimed at. Oh, that's a little high. So that's the problem with changing those out. Here we go. So in my garage door, there is a nice line of demarcation that I'm going to be aiming all of the headlights with all the different light bulbs at. So now at low beam, this is an Osram H4 Halogen light bulb. I will see if I can find some part numbers, put it down below. 274 lux. And that's at low beam. And now we're going to go to high beam. And we're not moving the lux meter, we're just leaving it in place. Now we're getting a reading of 615, 14. It drops down a little bit. I guess once the filament is on, it kind of settles in. So around 600. Yeah, so, and you can see in low beam, we have a really nice line of demarcation. So over to the left side, the opposite direction traffic is not going to be blinded. Over to the right side, you can still see the ditch. And that's pretty good. That's how it's supposed to look like. This is Osram, German brand. I mean, really good engineering. Those light bulbs have been around for decades. And once you go to high beam, it really fills out this entire area in front of you and pretty much doubles the light output. All right, now we're gonna switch to the Sylvania Silverstar Ultra H4 halogen light bulb and see what that looks like.
5 minutes later.
So camera settings have not changed. Here's the control again. Lux meter says absolute 0. Now we have the Sylvania Silverstar Ultra, which is almost a $40 light bulb, believe it or not. In here, we might have to readjust the headlight a little bit. Here's low beam. That looks pretty good. That's about the same pattern as we had with the previous light bulb. And we're getting about 300 lux in low beam. And now let's see what the high beam. So this is not a significant improvement over the Osram. And here is now, we can jiggle it around a little bit. So now we're at about 600. That is also about the same. Yeah, let me make sure I actually put the correct light bulb in there. So yep, yeah, here's the Osram. And the other one is in there. So not a significant improvement in light output, as you can see. The numbers are pretty much the same. What I can tell is that the color is different. So the Sylvania, if I'm not completely mistaken, here on the package it says 6000 K. That's the that's the color. Is that correct? It says for ultra night vision. Yeah, it doesn't really list the color, unfortunately. 300 to 600, the same as with the Osram. And now we're going to turn lights off again and switch over to the no-name cheap off of eBay, I believe I bought it from. If I find the link, I'll put it down below. I was just following another YouTuber who recommended this one.
5 minutes later.
So I've switched to the drop-in replacement LED light bulb from eBay. Here's the control again. The lux meter says 0. Now I'm going to turn the light on without tripping here and turn my flashlight off. There you go. Yeah, it definitely, I have not moved the headlight at all. It's definitely pointing up a little higher. And significant improvement in lux output. So now, right now we have 522, drops a little bit. So around the 520 mark. You can see it's a little bit more of a curved line. We will see on the road, when we're gonna go on the road, look down my neighborhood street, what that actually looks like in real life. A significant higher light output, 510 lux. And yeah, definitely not this defined straight line over here and this little angled section up here. And now we're gonna put it into high beam. And yeah, this is 638. So this is not significantly higher than the Sylvania or the Osram. They were both around 600. And it's kind of more like a broad strip over there. I would say this is not even really bad. I don't think this is really bad. The lack of definition over here on the left side is definitely going to make some opposite direction traffic driver a little upset. Alrighty guys, and now we're going to switch to the big one, the actual upgrade, the Philips H4 LED Headlight that I bought and made this adapter for. This is the one that this entire video is about.
5 minutes later.
Again, camera settings have not changed. 2000 ISO, f2.8, 1/60th of a second shutter speed, and the white balance is untouched. All right, now we have the Philips LED H4 Headlight that I created this adapter ring for installed, and I don't think I moved the headlight much during the install. So let's see where that ends. Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. It's actually aimed a little lower, but you will always have to re-aim your headlight a little bit. So I'm gonna bring this up to our line of demarcation and point the bike right at it. And a little higher. There you go. All right, so how we're set up here right now, you see the line over there to the left is pretty nicely defined. Here over to the right, it just goes up to the right a little bit. That might be my installation. Maybe the bike is not sitting super straight, but really bright spot, kind of a little bit right of center, which is fine. Currently we have 833 lux, and that is already 200 some lux more than the best of the other light bulbs. So even the drop-in replacement light bulb didn't go any higher than 600 on high beam. This one here is 831 lux in low beam. And now we're gonna flip on high beam. And remember, on this light bulb, or on this headlight, not light bulb, on this headlight, both light sources are gonna be on, low and high beam combined. Here we go. And now we're at 2,700 lux. 2,700 lux. That's 4.5 times more than the best light bulb had in high beam. So this is significantly more light output. So in low beam, we already have more light output in this bright spot than any of the other light bulbs, even the LED replacement in low beam. And we have 4.5 times more than the other ones in high beam. Here, 4.5 times more than the other ones in high beam. This is 2,700 lux. Alrighty guys, now we're gonna take this entire setup and move it to the street, and we're just gonna take a quick look at it. Alright guys, so the only setting that I've changed on my camera is the ISO, because we're not under a carport in front of a wall anymore. We're now looking out into the countryside. Probably the fastest person in swapping a headlight on a 1974 R90 in the dark. So I think I did not move the headlight at all from just swapping here. All right, so here we go. Is the Osram H4 Halogen. And you can see it's pretty yellow. This is low beam, of course. And here's high beam. And maybe we're aiming a little high. So I'm gonna change this here now on the fly. I'm gonna set it to something that looks more like I'm actually riding the bike. So you want something bright in front of you, like that. And now the high beam is gonna illuminate the distance. So, like that. Yeah. So that's Osram H4 Halogen light bulb. And now we're going to switch to the Sylvania Silverstar Ultra.
5 minutes later.
All right, guys, so everything is the same, ISO 5000, nothing else has changed. I did not move the light at all while swapping the light bulb. So here we go. Low beam Sylvania. That looks much brighter just because it's a different color. I think that's probably what it is, because the lux meter was saying it was about the same. And here is the high beam. And the high beam also looks much brighter in color and reaches down the street pretty good. Here one more time, low beam and high beam. All right, and now we're gonna switch to the LED replacement drop-in.
5 minutes later.
All right, so LED drop-in replacement. Nothing else has changed. And here we go. That looks, yeah, again, much brighter. And don't forget this had higher numbers on the lux meter. So overall, I'm not too disappointed. There's a little bit of too much darkness over to the right side. Most H4 halogen light bulbs, they will always have a little bit more illumination on the right side. Here, that's unfortunately not the case. And here's the high beam. The high beam doesn't reach much further down the street, but it illuminates left and right much better. So that's pretty good. Here's low beam, and here's high beam. All right, and now we're going to switch to the big honcho.
5 minutes later.
All right, guys, so nothing has changed. 5000 ISO, camera settings have not changed, and I now have switched to the Philips LED Headlight. I hope I kind of aim them all the same direction, and here it is what that looks like. Oh, this is high beam. This is low beam. As you can see, there is a very pronounced bright spot in the middle. I don't know if that's intentional. Will definitely take a little bit of getting used to. On the left side over there, you can see it's nicely dim, so you're not shining right into the opposite direction traffic. And now we're going to look at the high beam. And the high beam is definitely significantly brighter. That's really impressive. Low beam, high beam. So you guys let me know down below what you think. All right, let's shut down our little project here and go to the conclusion. All right, guys. So this is the conclusion. Luckily, we did all the light comparison testing last night because today is another really windy day here. That would have not been great, at least not for the audio quality. Yeah, so this is the conclusion. You saw all the comparisons, the side-by-sides and all that. The numbers, I guess, lux meter-wise, are speaking for themselves. Of course, everyone has to decide whatever they want to do, what kind of light bulb you want to put into your headlight. I am not telling you that this is the only option you have. Of course, you can ride around with your standard BMW headlight and put whatever LED light bulb in there, or you can add more driving lights, put them to your crash bars. You know, you can add lighting to the bike other ways as well. This video was really only there to show you that I have gone through the effort of making this adapter ring. So now a completely different product palette of those headlights, 7-inch, are available that could potentially be mounted inside your headlight bucket with no modifications whatsoever. The only modification is that you need this ring to install this. So this was just me showing off my little product that I'd created and a little bit of comparison to other lighting options. I've already regretted posting this on Facebook. So on Facebook, I made a couple posts in some forums. And like immediately when you show off what you did to your bike, 5 other people are telling you, oh, this is all nonsense and you should have done this. It's not all about that. It's just me showing off this product and this combination, and that there is now a different option. Because believe it or not, we're all different. We like different things. Maybe someone insists on having the original headlight in there, and then of course they will go ahead and find an LED light bulb that fits in there, so they don't have to make modifications to their vintage bike. I do like modifying things as long as it's not permanent. So like chopping up my subframe and putting a different seat on there and making this look like a bobber or a cafe racer. I don't like that. I like to keep more or less the main component stock. But slight modifications like this, a new headlight, different ignition system, LED blinkers and all that stuff, I am a fan of. I like that. And so therefore, I'm just showing this off. So this is a little bit of a rant, but it's just really annoying that every time you come around with something, tons of people tell you, oh, this is all nonsense and you shouldn't have done this and you should have done this instead because I know better. Like I said, I am not telling anyone what they need to do with their BMW Airhead. They can choose whatever they like. You can buy an Osram LED light bulb or something from AliExpress or whatever you want to put in here. It's all up to you. Or you can leave it original, not touch it at all. Only buy BMW original parts and only let a certified BMW mechanic work on your bike, because all self-taught mechanics or mechanics that just DIY things, they're all just wrong and you should not do that. So that's the advice and the rant at the end. You can do whatever you want to your bike, okay? Alrighty guys, I hope you like this. I hope you like this little video and the comparison. If you do, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Please keep it civil in the comment section. I know we all have opinions. I have lots of them too. Just keep it civil, okay? All right, see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.